Welcome to Bouqui'S Place. It's the greatest weekend starter ever. It's going to be an amazing, phenomenal day. And you know what we do here? We don't talk about the glit or the glam. We talk about the grit and the grind. And we bring your favorite people to come share their testimonies, to share their stories, just so that they can equip you practically on how to do destiny. And in the house today, we have the phenomenal King of Comedy. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the King of Comedy. Drum roll.
How are you?
I am very well, thank you.
Sorry about this Lagos traffic, but
It's okay. It's okay. I'm here, and that's what matters.
well,
Yeah.
that's the thing. If you go through any traffic in life, always know that the traffic will end instead of just keep
Don't
stressing
leave me. Don't leave me. Wow. Thank you so much. I know your schedule is crazy, but you took time out to do this for us, and we love you for that. Thank you so much. So let's get into it because I know we're gonna need every single second. So this
Sure.
is what we do at Bouqui'S Voice.
Okay.
In a world where everybody's talking about the things that don't matter, we talk about the necessary things that matter. You know, we talk about the grit and the grind. We talk about, things that people need to know. We're not giving them like candy floss. We're not pulling wool over their eyes. We are letting them see that, look, if you want to do destiny, you have to apprehend destiny. You go hold on like this. You're not going to sit down and look pretty. So we bring people like you to share your stories so that they can see that, oh, if Uncle Ali went through that and he made it, I have no excuses. So it's about ordinary people in their ordinary lives doing extraordinary things. So when I shut up now, it's going to be over to you. You tell us your story, where you were born, and we transition wherever you want to take it to. We go with you. So welcome to Bouqui'S Place.
All right. Thanks for having me. It's been an up and down journey. It's not been a smooth ride, but we started from the bottom. Now we're here.
Yeah.
I had I'll say that I had a very interesting childhood. I was born in Warri, Delta State. I was born in 1965 at Numa Maternity, Warri, to um, a teacher and a trader at the time. My dad was a headmaster at the time in Abraka, and when I was born, I was the first son because he had several girls, and It was like, oh, thank God that he now has a son, and this was back in the days where the male child syndrome thing was very strong, and and which was why I was named Alleluya, and I was named Alleluya, and from time as I started performing, Alleluya then became Ali, and then Alibaba, because the people who knew me felt there was no need to call me Alleluya, so they just called me Ali. Like when somebody's name is Olu Benga, you call the person Benga or call him Olu, so they just shorten it. So
Wow.
to the grind, I I did not think that I was going to become a comedian. I didn't think I was going to be into entertainment at all because I started reading, and what I loved most was reading and studying and reading, and I could read all kinds of newspapers, magazines, and all of that at that time. And my dad said, from what he has seen, it looks like I was going to become a lawyer. But man proposes and God disposes. When I got into secondary school, my dad then said, okay, maybe you go to NDA and become a military officer. I took some of the exams and deliberately failed them because I didn't want to be I didn't want to be a lawyer because my dad got the question papers and said, I'm looking at all these question papers now. Is there any of these questions that you didn't know? And I said I wasn't in a good mood at that time. And so he then wanted me to read law. Anyway, the fact that I had to read law, so in 1986, 85 I tried to get in, that was, 85 was NDA, and 1986 was when I now did my JAM and got admission. And so 4 years course, I did 2 years, and after the time I did 2 years, my dad now wanted me to go back to read law, and I said I wasn't going back to read law, that I wanted to just finish this course and read religious studies and philosophy. Now, religious studies and philosophy became a very interesting course because it then introduced me to Christian religious knowledge, Islamic religion, Buddhism, Far Eastern religion, African traditional religion, Greek, Arabic, Hebrew, and even a bit of Taoism. So we just did religion across the board, and then we did philosophy as well. And so all of these just made me feel, oh, this is not a bad course. And then I stumbled into stand-up comedy. Now, when I say I stumbled into stand-up comedy, it wasn't like I wanted to be a comedian. It was because I had been reading so many things. My thought processes were all geared towards making people very happy and making people laugh. And so in 1988, I started doing stand-up comedy, and the money was good. And I told my dad that there was no need to change to law, that I wanted to stay on the course. And what my dad did was that he disowned me. A lot of people would, even me at the time, I was very upset that my dad didn't understand, and why would he do that? But you see, fast forward to now, I can see why my dad did that, because you know, one thing that parents do is that parents want you to be comfortable and be independent so that you don't become a liability on them and a responsibility for them to bear. And so what my dad was angling for was to make sure that I had a job and I could take care of myself. So he wanted me to read law so that I could take care of myself, probably win some cases that the family have been fighting over for some time. But you see, becoming a comedian would then have thrown a spanner into the works of all of that. Let me tell you, I now know why my father did that, because my children are now thinking of doing courses and subjects that I think, the way Nigeria is hard and the way everything is going, I think you should read this, I think you should study this. One of my sons said he wants to be a DJ, and I'm like, DJ, and my thoughts just clicked, and I'm like, this was exactly what my dad also was worried about, because he wanted me to have a job that could take care of myself, my family, and probably him. And so it was just like reality, you know, it was a deja vu. Anyway, I managed, and when I finished school, I came back to Lagos. So I came back to Lagos 1989, and
Uncle Ali, when you say he disowned you, what does that mean? And how did you cope?
That's what I said. Now he disowned me and refused to pay school fees. He refused to pay school fees, and so I had to be paying the school fees myself. And then I ran to one of my uncles who was Chief Okumagba, and I told him. He said, "No, why won't you read law? Why won't you read law?" And so he was trying to tell me why I should actually read law. But you know, I had made up my mind that I wanted to be a comedian, and this issue. So my dad and I didn't talk till 1998. So it was over 10 years. Over 10 years that my dad and I didn't talk, and he didn't reach out to me because I didn't read a course that he wanted me to read. But that aside, in all of this, it was that the thing that's held me and strengthened my resolve was that I believed that the indices pointed to the fact that this was something that would work. This was something that would work. And so let it not be that anybody says, oh, I can disobey my parents. No, it with concrete reason. For instance, somebody says he wants to play football and he has the skills and wants to play football. You then weigh your skills with football and what your parents are telling you that you should do. For instance, if you begin to play football and you are earning more than a lawyer, earning more than a banker, earning more than, it's worth it. But it is that you must look at the indices and see how it's pointing you to taking that decision. And for me, it pointed me into taking that decision because I could see that it would pay my bills. It could put food on the table. It could get me accommodation in school. It could get me fame. It got me recognition. It got me money to spend. Took care of clothing. Then we were all wearing linen and brooks, and so I could buy brooks, I could buy jeans, I could buy t-shirts, and all of these were from stand-up comedy. And so I believed at that time, and I was further convinced when I started coming to Lagos to do events and I was getting paid, because one thing that clicked and broke the yoke was I was earning 200, 300 per event. My allowance from my dad that he withheld from me was 100 naira, sometimes 120 naira, and I was earning that at a show. So if I was earning that at a show and as a student, it meant that if I continued to develop the art and grow the art, I would get to a point where I could even earn maybe 600-700 per show. And that happened because when I was coming to Lagos to do events, my fee gradually rose from 200 to 500. This was in 1987, between 87, 88, and 89. My fee rose up to 600 per show. And 600 naira per show in 1989 was a lot of money. It was 6 times the amount of what I was getting from my dad. And so if at 600 per show, I don't need to wait for 100 per month, then it meant that it is easy to do all of those and make a lot of money from the things that I was going to do. A lot of people who wanted to discourage me at the time, when I told them, I said, my dad was giving me so and so monthly, but I could get this per day. If I did 3 shows in a month, I could get 1,800 naira. If I got sprayed or somebody dashed me money from performing, I could even get more than 2,000. So just looking at the elements of the business and the projections, it was possible to know where I was going. Why I'm saying this is some people are out there now going, hey, you see, Alibaba too refused to do what his father said. If you say you want to become a magician and there's no commercial value to being a magician yet in Nigeria, then you'll be wasting your time. If the commercial value has gotten to the point that if you put food on your table, pay your rent, give you clothes, take care of your family, then it will make sense. So that is the point I'm trying to make. Anyway, but when I came to Lagos, the biggest problem I had was not that I didn't have a place to stay. It was not that I didn't have, there was no precedent to follow. It's like there were no stand-up comedians anyway. What the problem was that there was a totally lack of acceptance. There was none, the acceptance was non-existent. Acceptance was non-existent. So there was nothing like, oh, okay, stand-up comedy was already doing good, so you are jumping into it. It's like somebody that wants to go into music now can say, oh, you can see Wizkid, you can see Davido.
A point of reference. Yes.
Exactly. And so there was no point, there was no precedence to follow. So for me, it was that I'm a lone ranger, and stand-up comedy was nowhere. Okay, most times people think, okay, there were stand-up comedians at the time. No. You had comedians at the time, but there were no stand-up comedians per se. You had slapstick comedians. The Papilu were kind that wear a big clock, wear a big tie, and be dancing with big bowler hat and big bomb bomb. You know, you had those kind of people. But when you talk about stand-up comedy, and I'm not talking of MCs who have sense of humor, but stand-up alone, that you didn't do anything else but stand-up, it was absent. And so there was no precedent, there were no precedent to follow. I was squatting with an uncle at the time when I came to Lagos. And what I brought to Lagos was just my suitcase. Those suitcases that were made with cartons. You will make with cartons, and then you can adjust it up and adjust it down if the box is too full. That was the kind of suitcase. And that suitcase was full with books. It was filled with books. And then the other traveling bag that I had was filled with cassettes, tapes, VHS tape of stand-up comedians: Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Red Fox and Sanford, Gregory Hines, just stand-up comedians, all of them. And so so that was what I came to Lagos with. And so when I came to Lagos, I started hunting on all the connections that I had made before. Charlie Boy, Eddie Lawani, P-Man, Mustafa Amigo, Alex O, Shino Peters, Kwamwon, Oliver the Coke, everyone that I'd met in the course of doing my shows in school. And so anyway, there were no headways, there was no breakthrough. And so I was still struggling and staying. At the time, I was living with my uncle in 1004. But something happened that I didn't know till now. I don't know what happened. But around 9 p.m. one evening, he came and said, sorry, I can't live in his house anymore because he didn't like the influence that I was having on his children. And the children are thinking it's easy, it's okay for anyone to be going out and coming in at any time, because I was working late. I'll come back around 10 or sometimes around 11, you know, and that he didn't want that this and told me to leave. So I left that night, and then had to come back the next day to take my suitcases and everything. So this is what I did. For those ones who say, oh, when I came to Lagos, there was nowhere to stay, I stayed at the Babbage for 2 months. I stayed
Where?
at the Babbage. From Babbage, via Babbage, that Babbage.
Where?
Victoria Island, Babbage. Yeah, there were huts, all those huts that you see at the Babbage.
Yes.
That all those celeb people stay and chant and all that. That was where I was staying for more than 2 months actually. And you know, when I say this, there was one time I had comedians and I was telling them of how I went through that, and they thought I was joking. Then one day we went for something with Holy Malam. We went, I think Holy Malam's baby's naming, and while we were there, Lati, the guy that was housing me at the Babbage, was driving a bus, and he came and I saw him. I said, Lati, and he said, Ali, you know, and we started greeting. So I told him, I said, hey guys, come. I said, Lati, tell them where I was living when I was living with you. And Lati said, Babbage ni. You see, I stayed about like 3 months, because I got into Lagos in I think in September, and I was there till January, more than 3 months. And so what was it? Lati would get me a bucket of warm water, and he would bring me bread and a gidi and a wagon in the morning. And that was all for the day. Then all through the day, if I got anything to eat, fine. At the NTA, if I got anything to eat, fine. If I didn't get anything, fine. And then my triangle was, okay, not more than a triangle. So it was NTA, CMS, and just USIS or National Theatre, Abegi. Those were my triangles. Those were the places that I was going to. So NTA, then gradually I now joined BC Olatilo at Radio Nigeria, and I was doing something because BC Olatilo started the first pidgin station, Radio Nigeria 3. So we were doing pidgin programs, and so I joined BC Olatilo. I was hustling there as well. You see, a lot of people will tell you because of the situation that I have, that is why I did not do anything. No. Don't forget that there's nobody that has a situation that was worse than Ruth. Ruth lost a husband and was about to lose a mother-in-law as well. and was chattered. And she decided, I'm going with her. And she didn't even just go with her. She didn't just change location, because some people will say, oh, I want to move out of this town because of this. They move out of the town, but still don't do anything. Ruth moved out of the town, but still didn't stay at home, still went out to be picking grains. Some would have said, no, me that was married, me that I was there, I can't be picking grains. No, you must step out when something has happened. You must not let it sink you in totally. What people then do is that it sinks them in totally and they lose it. What is it called? Someone might say, oh, okay, because Jesus has died, the disciples should just give up. No, when something happens, you must then step up and take over. For instance, look at the other situation where Zacchaeus got to a place and saw that everybody was taller than him. He didn't give up. He changed location and changed position.
Strategy, yes.
So you must. But the thing is, it first starts with you realizing that you have a shortcoming. Because what happens with some people, they will not admit that they are short. They will get to that place and be fighting with everybody so that everybody will bow down so that they can be tall. Don't move, just change and look for something else. That's why you find some people, they join an organization. They see that they are not growing in the organization, but they will die there. And then somebody else leaves the organization, goes somewhere and makes it, and then they're not saying, don't mind that guy. Well, we're all together now, and he didn't even, he doesn't even remember us. No, you must take, you see, there was something that Snoop Doggy Dogg did when his star was unveiled in his walk of fame, and he said, after he said, first of all, he wants to thank himself. Because let me tell you, if you fail, you are the one that they will say failed. Nobody will say we were the ones that made you fail. So you must take it by yourself. You must take responsibility. For instance, if you write an exam and you don't pass, they don't say your father failed. No, it's you that took the exam that failed. If everything did not work and you were going to catch a flight and you missed the flight, it is you that missed the flight. They will not say it's the Okada that blocked the road. They will not say it is you're not getting fuel. They will not say it is somebody that didn't tell you that the exam was. You missed the flight. So it is you. In the end, it is you. In the end, it is you. That is why when people try to make you feel like what you're going through is all of us, it's your battle. It's your battle. You face your battle by yourself. If you succeed, fine. If you fail, you will be held responsible. The other thing is that when you get to heaven, you're not going to be calling somebody that, okay, God, talk to him. He was the one that caused it. This one, no, it is you that will take responsibility for yourself. Now, when Adam had fallen and God asked him, and he was trying to push the blame, or is the woman that you gave me? God told him, no, it is you. Everyone must take responsibility for themselves. I knew that I was up against convincing my dad and any other doubters and all the people who thought that I was making the wrongest move, that I knew what I was doing. And so once you've agreed like that this is what you decided to do, it means that you must then channel every element and energy to make sure that you succeed. Let me tell you something. In spite of everything that they did, Joseph succeeded. But Joseph had a reason. They threw me in the well. They didn't like me. They sold me into slavery. They jailed me. I was a slave in Egypt. He had an excuse for not making it. But you see, in spite of the excuse that he had, he also did not give up the talents that God had given him. Because some people, because of the situation that they are in, the blessing that God gave them, they will hide it.
You despise
They
it.
say, they didn't promote me in this, they do promote me in this office. There's no need to sing now. But you see, if the person sang, someone would have heard the voice and said, that's a beautiful voice. Let's give the person a chance. Let me use an example for you. You see, David was not like the brothers. David was not going to war. He had time, he had spare time, but he was monitoring the sheep and all of that stuff. But you see, when those people who have gone to war come back, they find a place to relax. And most times, they always gather around wells. Don't forget that it's a Mediterranean. And Mediterranean means that they're desert areas. So where you ever find water is where people flock around. And when people flock around where there's water, that is where you find travelers that will bring their camels to come and get water to drink. Which was why the woman at the well was having several husbands. Because when all those men that keep going and coming come to the place, they will see the woman, spend time with her and go, and another person will come, see the woman, spend time and go. So, in the end, she had met several men. But you must come by the well. Don't forget that when Joseph was thrown in the well, because the brothers wanted him to be left in the well. When you are in a dry well, nobody comes to you. You must make sure that you are not a dry well. You must make sure that you are a well that people want to fetch water from. If nobody is going to gain anything from you, nobody will come to you.
Wow.
If nobody will gain anything from you, nobody will come to you. You must make sure that you are somebody that keeps giving. That keeps giving. Let me tell you something. If you go check your wristwatches and you want to wear a wristwatch today, and you pick the first one and the battery is down, pick another one, the battery is down, you will pick the one that the battery is working. You will not pick the one that the battery is down and put it on your hand, because it will not serve any purpose.
Even if it's a Rolex, yes.
Even if it's a Rolex, you will be like, oh, the battery is down, I have to fix the battery.
Oh, wow. Yes, yeah.
That is it. That is it. The thing is, until you give value. What did Jesus say to the fig tree? He cursed it. He said, you are supposed to produce. And because you didn't produce, then he cursed it.
Yeah.
There was another story of somebody who said he wanted to throw some people, and the owner of the farm said, give me one other year. Let me intercede on behalf of these people and see that I can bring something out of them. So you must add value. If you do not add value, you will be out. My life, sometimes I look back and I say, what would I have done differently if I had any other, if it was broadcasting that I decided to be in? I would make sure that everyone who comes across me will remember that this is what Ali did for me. I sometimes see people who I have helped to achieve something in the past. There are people who have come to me and said, oh, I'm in the studio, I'm recording, I'm not this, and you help them. Then you sit back and see that same person you helped refusing to help another person. I don't feel bad, but I just say, that is who that person is. But it will still not stop me from helping another person. There's a guy today, you may know him after I've said this, but I've known him from 1987, 1986, and he came by the office and we were planning and talking and I said, okay, yeah, you need to do this kind of show and get this show on and it will work, you know. And he did it, and the show is now like the talk of the town. In fact, the first episode was a blowout. In fact, it sold out. But you see, he's somebody that I've known for a long time. But there's some people that I have given ideas to. They didn't do anything with it. So what I'm trying to say is that some people will do something that will block other people from receiving the same blessings that you want to give out. But it still doesn't stop you from being that person that gives out or gives that helps. People would always want to tell. Okay, most times people say, don't mind him. That's how they are. But you know, you can be the good Samaritan. The story of the Samaritans is that all Samaritans can be thieves. If they see anybody that is wounded, they steal everything from the person and take it away. They can steal the person's horse, they can steal the person's bag, they can steal the person's slippers, they can steal his shoe. But you see, what it means is you finally get somebody who comes, doesn't steal his shoes, but makes sure that the person is okay. And they call the person the good Samaritan. So of all the Samaritans, one person was picked out as the good Samaritan. So I always want to be that good Samaritan in the lives of certain people that I meet. There are certain people that I meet and I feel like I don't think I should waste, because even Jesus has said, do not cast your pearls
before swine.
So even before I then do that, I may have misjudged you and assisted. And then it then comes back to me that, okay, you cast this one before swine. So anyway, let me get back to me. I found out that the stand-up comedy that I wanted to do, the style of stand-up comedy that I wanted to do, did not have any precedent. And so what it meant was that I needed to be breaking the rules, creating the rules, breaking them, and becoming the person that I wanted to be. There was nothing to learn from. The way the joke is told, understanding the audience, people just had the talent, but did not develop it. Don't forget that there were 3 people that were given talents. There are people who then develop their talent. There are people who take it and just keep it as it is. There are some people you met when you were in school and you say, oh, that girl had a wonderful voice. But till today, they don't have one album. Those are people who just didn't develop their talent. There are people you see, like when I was in school, I was a javelin thrower, I was a long jumper, I was a 100 meters runner, and all of that stuff. But you see, there are some people that you then see, maybe like 20 years later, and you're like, so what did you do with the talent? They say, that one is nothing. You cannot make those kind of people change. So for me, it was that I had to look at the whole industry and say, this is something that I must do. Maybe not for me, but for everybody. Because any talent that you have is not for you. If you know how to sing, you don't sing to please yourself. If you know how to play football, you don't play football to entertain yourself. The skills that God gives you, or God has given you, are for you to benefit every other person in life. Right? Okay, so what did I do? It was that I needed to study this stand-up comedy totally. How did it start? How did stand-up comedy start? Because to make anything work, to make any talent work, you must understand that business totally. Not just the talent, the business of that talent. Unless you understand it, everything is wasted. You must understand why people buy what they buy. You must understand who is buying this talent that you buy. You must also understand who would help you, partner with you to make the talent grow. You must understand when people buy this talent. You must understand why people buy the talent. You must also understand how people like to buy the talent, because everybody may want to have it different ways. To drive this point home, let me use this example that God put in the Bible that is the classiest business MBA. There's no MBA that is more than it inside the Bible. And it's the story of Moses in the basket. The story of Moses in the basket. So there was an issue. So there's a problem and there's a solution that is needed. So the problem is every male child in Egypt that belongs to the Jews killed them. So that was the problem. So what did the mother of Moses do? She made sure that she found a solution to that problem. And what was the solution? She would take her child and give it to an Egyptian princess. And then the Egyptian princess will take care of the child, and the child will not die. That's simple thing, Abi. But you see, what a lot of people miss is this, which is the MBA part of it. First, you must know that this princess wants a child.
Study.
Because if the princess had 4 children and you brought your child there, she won't take it. Because she already has children. The second thing is that she must know where the princess takes a bath. It's not that, oh, she knows that there's a princess that wants a child and then she goes to drop it in Akpobome. Meanwhile, the princess lives in VI. You must first know the market. So it also teaches that you must know the market first. You must know who your customer is. You must know what your customer wants. And what the princess wants was a child. And this situation, you have to present the child fully. Now, another thing that happened there is that because of the quality of the person that you want to present the child to, it means that the product you give to the person too has to be well packaged. Don't forget, because of the kind of water, because first of all, if the princess is going to come to have a bath in the water, it means that the water must be clean. The princess won't come and have a dip inside dirty, muddy water. But if water is clean, it means the water is flowing. And if water is flowing, you can't put anything inside this thing, it will flow off. And so if it's going to flow away, she also then took time to work that out. That's why she put Miriam there. So Miriam will guide it back into position. Don't forget that Miriam guiding it back into position is how you control the product that you put out in the market. Some people will just start doing something. They don't check to see whether competition is chancing them or this one is doing better. They put it in the market, but they leave it there. After other things, that's the same thing that happened to Nokia. Nokia believed that they already have the market. They already had the market. They did not take into cognizance what other people were doing. And what happened? They floated out of the space. You must understand your market. You must understand what the market is saying. You must understand the trends of the market. Okay, look at it. There were so many people when I was on Twitter, Instagram, were telling me, what are you doing on Instagram? It's for children. All this, did you see your mates there? All the children. All those same people that were saying you didn't need to be, all of them are jumping on Instagram and Twitter now because of COVID. And that is the lesson from Joseph. When Joseph said, it will come a time of lack. So prepare yourself. It is also the story of the 10 maidens when some people carried
oil.
Extra oil. Don't always prepare. Always be ready. Let people come and meet you. And it baba. So you see, what I'm trying to get at is that Moses was not just dropped in a basket. Moses was a product of well thought and processed ideas.
Strategy.
It was well thought. And so in any career, in anything that you've chosen to do, you must think it through. You must think it through. I believe that because I understood this career that I was going into, I prepared. I prepared seriously. So how did I prepare? There were no books. Hey, bro, how are you? Come and say hello. Come and say hello. Oh, come and say hello. My son.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, this is a DJ. Okay, music beat producer, DJ. I think they mix for BBC Radio.
What's his name?
Yeah.
What's his name?
Edgy DJ.
Okay.
Edgy DJ on Instagram. Edgy
Okay.
DJ. Okay, so you know, it is that there's need for you to first understand whatever you're doing. Let me even come to Jesus. You know, Jesus is part of the Trinity. Father, Son, Holy Ghost. But Jesus still did not come into this life and say, you mean Jesus, you know. He was learning at the foot of the masters. He was learning at the foot of the masters. So it's not like he came like, you know, I'm Jesus, so there's nothing that I don't know. He still learned. So there's some people, you tell them, I know you have this talent, try and learn. They say, no, forget. You'll be redundant, like Bonds to do. So it is important for us to take into cognizance that whatever market we're going into, we study it properly. So knowing what the market wants, knowing where the market is, knowing the way the market is run, knowing how to control the product and what to offer, what time to offer it, at what price to sell, feedback mechanism, because Miriam was a feedback mechanism as well. Don't forget that in all, it is that you must take responsibility for you. You must take responsibility for you. When you succeed, it's you. When you fail, it's you. Don't blame anybody. Don't blame anybody. If you succeed, it's you. If you fail, it's you. Let me tell you something. You see, when David got to the battlefront and he was appalled by the things that Goliath was saying, that was not when he started learning how to shoot catapults. He has started shooting catapults since. Let me even tell you something else that happened to David. Remember I was telling you that people go to war and then when they come back, they hang around because there's no battle to be fought now. So they hang around different places. Now, those post-traumatic stress also worries a lot of all those soldiers back then. And so they normally just come around the wells and where people are giving water to the sheep and everything. And people who are travelers will come and stop and buy water and you know, trade by barter. And then sometimes they probably have one camel that has a bad leg, so they'll swap the camel, take another camel. But while all of that is going on, trading and everything is going on at that place, but David will sit there and be playing his harp. And when David is playing his harp, somebody will hear it and it will calm the person down. And the person will calm down. So the person will then calm down. But you see, that person that calmed down because he was listening to that music, somebody may think, what is this boy playing? And the boy was playing the music, but it was calming somebody down. What did the person do? The person recommended it to the king. Some people are in some business and they say, nobody is listening to me, nobody is coming. Do what you are doing and do it at the best level every time. Because when you do that, somebody will take notice. Somebody took notice, and when they saw David, when they saw Saul in that position, they told him. They said, sir, there's somebody who he plays this harp very well. All this madness that you're having to calm you down. And they said, go and bring him. That is the same thing that happened. You see, there's another business strategy that I also apply to myself. Some people do not think that it's important to have a call card. They think that it is not necessary. You see that this call card thing, this call card, this card, the importance of it cannot be overemphasized. Do you know the first call card that I read in the Bible was used by Joseph while he was in prison?
When he wanted to interpret your dreams?
No. The call card was when he gave his call card to the butler that he interpreted his dream for and said, do not forget me. When he told him, do not forget me, that was his call card. In giving him that line and say, do not forget me when you come to your kingdom, he had given him his call card. And so what does the person do with the call card? The person will say, anytime you need so and so, that's the person to go to. And when the time came, the person pulled out the call card. Even Rahab, the prostitute,
Had a call
even
card.
Rahab, the prostitute, gave a call card and said, for this thing I've done, don't forget me.
Wow.
Don't leave me, don't forget me. This thing I've done for you, don't. And the call card always comes to help. The call card always comes. That's why you hear something like David will say, because of Jonathan, because of the friendship I have with Jonathan, because of the relationship I have with Jonathan, because of the so and so I have, those things that you do become call cards.
Nice.
It is important, brother. So most times, most of the things that have gotten me up to this point is that I apply anything. See, some people think because you're in business, because you're a musician or because you're an entertainer, you don't need to use the best global best practices. No, your business can benefit from all elements of business across the world. However, they do business on radio, broadcasting, advertising. You may just tweak it a bit, but the business is the business. And so many of my downtimes have been when people did not believe that I did a lot of free shows. I did shows for people who I promised that they would pay and they didn't pay. The first show that I did in Epoma, that somebody was supposed to pay me 15 naira. He paid me 30 naira, 20 naira. He didn't pay the balance. Amerod Productions, that's the name of the outfit. Amerod Productions. He didn't pay me. Then Osage, Percy Okoji, yes. Percy Okoji is a lawyer now. Percy Okoji also had a show in Epoma then, and he was supposed to pay me another 15 naira. He paid 30 naira, he paid the 20 naira. Some of these things are things that you learn over time.
Along the way.
You always have there's a song that says, there'll be sad songs to make you cry.
To make you cry.
That you must have, and those sad songs, when the sad songs come, it is what you know that you benefit from the end that then keeps you going. If some people will say, like I tell some people will say, oh, I'm depressed. Nobody is saying depression is not real. Depression is real. But when you look at it really, do you want depression to win? You don't want depression to win. You don't want depression to win. You don't want depression to win. It's important to overcome those depression. Some met one lady one time. Oh, she's going to kill herself. She can't take care of her children. I said, if you die, who will take care of the children? Your death will not feed the children. You know?
Yeah.
It's important to take all these things in. I'll round up like this in case there are questions, and so we can read the questions. I'll round up like this and say, what I actually did that made the difference in stand-up comedy was that I did not sell it as an art. I sold it as a business. If you can't make any talent you have a business or a service that somebody needs, it's dead. You must convert every talent that you have to a service. That is when you can make it. If you can't convert the talent, if you know how to play the saxophone and nobody is going to benefit from that saxophone that you're playing, it's wasted. If you know how to take care of children and you can't convert it to cash, it's wasted. The reason people are making money from the things that we took for granted now is because we did not know the commercial angle to it. You have people who are growing pawpaw in the back of their houses. They are growing pawpaw, they are growing mango, they are growing this thing. For over 1,000 years that we're going. They just pluck the pawpaw and eat, pluck the mango and eat. None of them knew anything about juice.
Mm.
But you see, somebody came and said, let's blend this. And when we blend it, we can then, we can make some punch out of it. We can make some, and then people then start paying for it and drinking. But you see, people have already had it. See what the Indians are doing now. Indians are packaging gari and selling it back to us in Nigeria because nobody knew that you could package it. See what is happening to crude oil. They are coming to take the crude oil away, package it and bring to us as petrol because we can't. We have rubber, but we are selling it away. They are making the tires and bringing for us.
Wow.
Chopsticks. They are bamboos in Nigeria. They are making the chopsticks from bamboos and selling to us. But we have bamboo here. So that is what they say. If you bury your talent, you will not benefit from it. Because the Bible also says, do you have light and put it under a bushel? No. You can't have light and put it under a bushel. It's so I was and then sometimes some people always it was one time I was thinking, okay, let's grow this industry. Let's make a lot of people I remember when Oprah Williams started the Night of the Thousand Laughs. And Oprah Williams said he wanted me to come and perform at Night of the Thousand Laughs. And I told Oprah Williams, I said, how many people are performing? And he told me, I said, so which jokes are they going to be telling? Oprah Williams said, they'll tell you. I said, hope they won't tell my own jokes. And Oprah Williams said, they will have to tell your own jokes now. And the industry is just started. But let me share something with you. There's a guy called Efere Ozako. Efere Ozako, barrister Efere Ozako was an entertainment lawyer. He's passed on now to glory. My brother Zakilo. And Zakilo said, Ali, you see all these American idols that they do, the people that come to perform, they don't come to perform their own songs. Nearly all of them come to perform songs of other people. And why they do that is because they use the songs of those other people as yardsticks. So what you need to see yourself as, he was the first person that called me the king of comedy. He said you need to see yourself as the king of comedy. All the other people are learning from you. So let them use your jokes to grow. When they grow, they will then make their own jokes. And I said, okay. It's the same thing that I'm seeing right now. You see skits on television, on Instagram, on all the skits that they are doing. And you then see jokes that are done 25 years ago, jokes that are done 40 years ago, 30 years ago. Somebody has turned it into a drama and turned it into a skit. And somebody somewhere saying, Alibaba is not funny again. These are the people that are funny. It happened at an event one time. And somebody was on stage performing. And I was enjoying myself and laughing. And one man got up and came to meet me and said, Ali, all these children have driven you from the market. When the boy finished and came down, I said, nice one. The boy said, bros, thanks. So, did you see what I did to that your joke? I said, yes. I called the man. I said, okay, ask him who owns the joke he told on stage. You see, it is important that no matter what you do, you must continue to grow yourself and not become a dry well. If you become a dry well, nobody will come to you. You must be dynamic. You must move with time. Sometimes I pick few things from the Bible and I go into it. And when Joseph and Mary were running out to avoid Herod, they fled on foot. When Jesus wanted to ride into Jerusalem, he asked for Uber. He said they should go and bring him a donkey. That is to tell you that he too was moving with time. Even churches, the days when the 10 Commandments were written on a stone are past. It then became a scroll. Then it then become printed paper. It has moved from that to iPad. But the word is still the same. So you must be dynamic. Some of those pastors that tell you, oh, I can only read from the Bible. Was the Bible as it is now what it started with? It wasn't. There was Torah.
Yeah.
There was, and so the things that apply to business apply to you as a human being. if you look at it now, if you want to go to America and you say you're a pastor and you believe in the old religion and you must always read the Bible, you don't use iPad. The GO of Redeemed Christian Church now uses an iPad.
Yeah.
All right, everything has moved. Like somebody has said, everything has moved to the app. He uses an iPad. So you want to tell me because you believe in the oldest, when you want to go to London now, you go by sea. Or you want to go to Abuja because you believe in the oldest, you go by road.
Go by donkey. You know, right?
By donkey and get a horse and be going or ride a bicycle to Abuja. You must move with times. Everything improves. Everything. Before Jesus was crucified, they were not crucifying people before, they were stoning them to death. When Jesus came, they changed it. You see, it's important to know that you must grow, you must be dynamic, you must move with time. See, if it were not for the Israelites, there would be no pyramids in Egypt. If it were not for the Israelites, there would be no pyramids in Egypt. But you see, the Israelites built all those pyramids. Now, you don't need Israelites to take ropes and pull stones to build a pyramid. You use cranes.
Yeah.
So you must move with times. You must begin to apply new technologies and innovations to become the best. Somebody was saying, this was something that someone told me one time, that he doesn't believe in IVF. I said, you don't believe in IVF? He said, yes, okay. And he was wearing glasses. I said, you don't believe in IVF? He said, no. I said, so why are you wearing glasses? He said, no, glasses I said, it is medical. It is for you to see better.
Yeah.
And if there is a blockage or something in the fallopian tube or something like that, they go in there and sort it out.
Yeah.
You must be dynamic. There's no gainsaying that. And so that was how I started, and that was how I grew. So I want to thank you so much. It's been a tough journey, but we stayed the course. We stayed the course.
Yes, and we're glad you did, because you're a point of reference to a lot of people. You've talked about self-improvement, self-development, all the things you read in books, motivational books, 7 ways to do this. You've talked about there's something you have. Find it, refine it, and give it commercial value. Until you give it away, it's never a gift. It could be a talent that's just dormant in you, but until you give it away, it never becomes a gift, So we have 1 minute left. Uncle Ali, thank you so much for coming to Bouqui'S Place. I had a lot of questions, but because of your wealth of wisdom, as you were talking, you were answering the questions. So I didn't have to ask you. The question I'd like to ask, but we don't have time. We have 1 minute. Is, as a multi-potentialite, how do you know which talent to, a multi-potentialite can sing, can dance, can act, can write? How do you know which one to, focus on? And it will cut off anyway. So I would have.
So take this away. It said, Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light of the darkness. Jesus was a lot of things, but he was one man. And we must be a lot of things and still be good at all of them. So Jesus will heal, Jesus will cure, Jesus will teach, Jesus will do everything. Jesus was a carpenter, Jesus was a prophet, Jesus was everything. We must live like that. Every potential that we have, we must exhibit all of it and show it everyhow. Whatever you can do, do it.
And die empty. Thank you so much for coming to Bouqui'S Place. We love you so much.